welcome to the Leg Kick, the show with all the leg kicks. That's so. As you've noticed, there's one guy not here, and trust me, it's not because we kicked him out or anything. Although we wanted to, we held a vote, but for family reasons, Stefano's not here. So for Stefano, it's actually really not that serious, but he's gone because family commitments. So he's not here. But joining me is kind of the OG team, except for Jeremy. He's just not really an OG. But
I've been here longer than Stefano.
Sorry?
I've been here longer than Stefano. Well, no, I haven't actually.
Who was the first guest? It was probably Jeremy, right?
Yeah, Jeremy was our
Yeah, but I was a guest back then. I wasn't actually part of the...
Yeah, but you can claim like you were here first kind of thing. You plan it.
But you're not. But that doesn't mean he's an OG, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what OG stands for.
Original gangster? Yeah, he's an original gangster. But
I was trying to think of something else. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'll be Habib. Yeah, Jeremy Asiffo, he's a real gangster. That's my Habib impression. But anyway, David, say hi to the people.
Hi, hello, guten Tag.
And Jeremy, we already talked about football legend. Still a force on those fields. Catch him after the virus. He'll be doling out sacks to your favorite quarterback. And
Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're joining us, welcome to me.
Wait, I just want to say, could I start writing my intro? Because Jeremy gets football legend, Stefano gets MMA star. Can I get something like football manager legend or FIFA King or something like that?
Sure.
Like, yeah. Mad video games, like I could really throw down with the best of them. So
yeah, you kind of do get disrespected a little bit.
I'm just saying, like I don't get no titles or nothing.
Everybody gets a thing.
You know what kills me? And this is off topic, but you know those people who put their like let's say you have like a BA in chemical engineering and they put it in their email signature. Get a grip.
You don't like those people?
Nah, man.
No, because everyone. No. I got a BA too. You don't see me just throw that BA out.
For real though, and it's even weirder when you do it in like your personal email. Like, why have you got like your?
I can see it. I can see if you're doing a business email signature. You got the BA, but even then, no one takes a BA seriously in business. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
let's be honest. Let's call it let's call it a buck. Let's really be honest with each other.
Hilarious. I think that's an oxymoron. A BA in business, a Bachelor of Arts in business. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Right,
but you see it though. That's all I'm trying to say.
It kills me. But no, I need a version of that for the podcast, where I just like list off all my accomplishments, like drank 6 beers this morning, played 18 hours of Football Manager this weekend, something like that. I think would work.
Anyway. We got you a BA in podcasting.
Jeez. I actually have a degree. That's the funny part. BA in podcasting. Anyway.
Okay, so let's see. The leg kick. There's a numerous amount of ways you can watch the leg kick. A numerous amount of ways you can keep up with the leg kick and listen to the leg kick as well. Follow us on Instagram at the leg kick. Right, and on Facebook, our group is called The Leg Kick. If you need information on how to spell that, I worry for you, and I'm concerned.
So we love you because thank you for even listening, obviously.
Yes, but, if you don't know how to spell leg and kick, but you got here, I have questions for you.
How about this, sir? Is there a space?
There are spaces.
Okay.
The space, leg, space, kick for the Facebook, and the leg kick, all one word, all lowercase, on Instagram. You can catch us on podcasting via SoundCloud, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts. can catch us via Google Podcasts. You can catch us Spotify, Podcast Addict, and Anchor Podcasts, and all of the podcasts that Anchor actually distributes to as well. So we're on a lot of forums there.
All of the forums, all of the socials, all of the casts.
Yeah.
Don't forget to send us an email at thelegkick1@gmail.com. Serious business inquiries only.
Yeah, yep. Oh, or questions about your life, I guess, or whatever.
Or spam. We'll take that too.
Yeah,
honestly.
we'll
Just
take
email,
spam.
whatever. Doesn't
As
matter.
long as you're not some Nigerian prince. I think David gave
Even
too
you
much prince a laugh.
are. I'm Nigerian. Free my princes, man. Free my princes.
Right? Jeremy, tell people where they can actually watch in video form the leg kick.
The U of Tube, but the website is just called YouTube. So make sure you go and you look at our handsome melanin-filled faces and Stefano's white face.
Way to stick the landing there, right? Way to cross him over and take it to the hoop, eh? Good job.
Pigmentless face, but still just as handsome as the three of us. But these three guys are taken, so make sure you don't shoot your shot. I'm not taken, so if you want to shoot your shot.
Okay, wait, no,
we're not doing
Okay,
No.
you invited Henry Cejudo.
Watch us on YouTube.
Jeez.
Watch us on YouTube and
So Jeremy's single, I guess, ladies.
the visual of us giving our takes on the world of MMA, the world of basketball, the world of soccer, the world of sports, and slide into my DMs, females.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that insightful plug of the social.
Jeremy's single.
We can definitely have a team meeting after this about how we need to work on that. I think we're plugged up. We're plugged up.
Right. Can the title of this podcast episode be "Slide in My DMs"?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Hey, boom.
Unless you say something funnier. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Okay. So, did you want to start off with the UFC card or some of our non-MMA topics?
Let's start with some of the non-MMA topics because
All right.
I'm actually very interested in a couple of them per se. They were going to be kind of these little news topics, but let's start off with what's going on in the Bundesliga as a statement was made. Since you're kind of the soccer guy out of all of us, I'd like to give it to you because this is interesting.
Yeah, no. I could keep it super brief. Shouts out to Jadon Sancho on several levels. First of all, this is a guy who literally was part of Man City, which is my team's youth academy, and is one of those cases how he was really highly touted, and the beautiful bald genius that is Pep Guardiola, for some reason, didn't see him fit to be with the first team squad. Instead, we were spending 50 million, 60 million on players like Riyad Mahrez. And also we promoted Phil Foden, who's a really good player.
In fairness, Riyad Mahrez had like a career year with Leicester when they spent money.
But right now, I ask you a question: who's a better player?
Oh, of course, it's Jadon Sancho. But
okay.
In fairness, I'm just saying we're going 2020 on it a little bit. No,
we're only like 12 months removed. Like he had already won the English Under-20 World Cup, and the reason he left was because he was promised to be in the first team. Mm-hmm. And when it came time to do a preseason camp and preseason tour in America, Pep didn't take him. So he was still at home training with like the kids, and he's like, you know what? No, forget this. I'm good enough. And you know what? It kind of speaks, once again, I don't want to make any kind of claims here, but I like the story of a young black footballer backing himself, saying, I don't care how good you think I am, I know how good I am, and I'm going to go anywhere because my skills will translate. And that's exactly what he did. He went to the Bundesliga, and since then he's been killing it. So much so that there's even a lot of rumors that he might sign for Manchester United, which is just a
That
headache.
would be the biggest up yours.
I don't know how I could deal with that, but shouts out Jadon Sancho. Anyway, today he scores a hat trick, which is actually crazy. But on his first goal, he lifts up his shirt and shows justice for George Floyd. We can park the message for a second because I think, even though this is a sports pod, and I don't know if we should be getting too deep into the nuances of that. What I will say is that as much as I want to shout out Jadon Sancho, I also wanted to use this platform to say I was streaming the game on Fox Sports 1. Fox, you should be ashamed of yourself. The coverage you gave that very moment was disgraceful. Not only did you not point or focus on the message of his shirt, there was no mention of it. He got booked, yellow carded, because when you take your shirt off.
Yeah, that's an automatic yellow.
Yeah. Every single time I've ever watched soccer, they've always said the customary refrain of, and blah, blah, blah player gets the yellow card for taking his shirt off, but I'm sure he won't mind. There was none of that. They didn't even address it once. In fact, there was a player who was protesting the fact that Sancho was offside for the goal or something. He was just mad, so much so he got a yellow card. They didn't talk about the yellow card that Sancho got. They talked about the yellow card the other player got for protesting it 2 minutes later. 2 minutes later after the match had restarted. The guy was just droning on and on. And I don't want to be too critical of the commentator because I get it. It's just his job, and there's probably a producer in his ear saying, hey, literally, I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, but the second it happens, we're probably like, don't even bother. Don't even bother talking about it. Like, just stay away from it. This is soccer. This isn't politics. And I can respect.
You know what? I will say, I can't remember specifically the commentator's name, but I remember a wrestling commentator. Joey Styles, that's his name. So Joey Styles, he's relatively famous as a wrestling commentator. He was commentating for Ring of Honor, which is kind of an independent promotion. And he made a joke regarding Trump's sexual assault allegations like in 2016. Remember the whole thing about I just do blank blank or whatever, right? He made like a joke, right? That was kind of offhand. But because Ring of Honor is broadcasted by the Sinclair Group and everyone knows how right-wing and conservative the Sinclair Group was, he kind of got the can because the whole thing that his producer told him was, and who's also kind of one of the head writers of Ring of Honor told him was, don't make a joke about politics. And he made a joke about politics. So I can definitely see him saying, holding his tongue because of...
For real. And I respect that. And as somebody who is employed and understands how difficult, how you can work your entire life to get into the position where you're basically getting paid to do what you love. Mm-hmm. So why would you risk that just for a comment that, how much impact are you really making? However, I just want to say that this is the exact kind of hypocrisy that makes racism not only that makes racism exist but thrive in soccer, because it's not just the racists, it's not just the people who are explicit. Yeah, it's not even like a blatant or an obvious. Even if you're not racist, it's not just the people who are racist. It's the people who tolerate it. It's the people who are quiet when it happens. It's the thousands of people in a stadium who sit by and do nothing when there's hundreds of people chanting racist stuff, throwing bananas on the pitch. Just please, if you are a soccer fan, look up Samuel Eto'o and just look up his story.
Yeah.
This is stuff that's been happening. Like, it still happens today. And the irony is that we have campaigns like Kick It Out Racism or Kick It Out whatever, Kick Racism Out of Soccer. I don't even know what it's called. But at the same time, here we are, a dude is doing something that is promoting that, and yet, for some reason, it's not worthy of being discussed. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I think as a whole, I thought we really took a stride forward when. Sorry, am I breaking up? You guys can hear me, right?
We can hear you.
Yeah,
But yeah, I thought we really took a stride forward when. Sorry. Okay, I broke up. My bad. But I think what I was gonna say is I thought we took a stride forward when the whole the George Floyd thing happened, right? And I don't want to say the thing, but it happened, and universally, whether you were right or left, people kind of had a disdain and a disgust for the act, right? So I would have liked to see at least kind of an acknowledgement that it happened. You get what I'm saying? But it didn't happen.
That announcer probably doesn't even care, to be honest, or maybe that producer of the broadcast didn't care, because not even to say, oh, it's great to see players standing up for something they believe in another country away, like that's at least acknowledging it. So if you don't even acknowledge it, that tells me that you either don't agree with what's going on, like with the support of George Floyd, or that you don't care, or you're timid. And it's just like David said, that feeds into racist acts, and that standing by doing nothing means you're on the side of the oppressor. So
yeah, no, I can see
and
that.
the reason why he lifted his shirt is because he was probably expecting the broadcaster to address it and make it known to the viewers of that game, of that match.
I don't think he even wanted the broadcaster to say anything, like the commentator specifically. I agree though that he ran towards a camera and lifted his shirt up, so he's definitely looking for attention. But I think it's in the good way, in that it's obviously for a good cause. And honestly speaking, as somebody who's millions of miles away from Germany, I don't know, Jadon Sancho, I appreciated that this young millionaire killing it, just absolutely killing it, is like he cares about these kind of things. He's not even from the U.S.
Yeah,
he's from England. He has no reason to care about that. But
yeah, I was gonna say
shows how pervasive the issue is.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I
No problem.
I was just gonna say, it's great. What interests me about this is that here you got a guy who's literally across an entire ocean, right? Willing to sacrifice a yellow card to say a message, right? And people have to understand that 2 yellow cards and you miss an important game, right? Every game in the Bundesliga or in the Premier League. So you're literally sacrificing money for your squad on the table, right? And therefore money for yourself on the table just for a message, right? So I think that that's what interests me the most about this story. But bringing up that Fox thing is also kind of another interesting point, and it kind of goes behind, because I always, like, you guys know I'm a nerd for broadcasting, right? So I'm a nerd in general, but I'm a nerd for broadcasting and how much in broadcasting decisions. Why did you decide to do this instead of this? Why did you decide to do Y and Z? And we even got into a little bit during the Fight Companion when it came to Walt Harris that, right? I like these. I'm fascinated by why people make the decisions they do when they're broadcasting a show. And so for them to not really address it was it was fascinating. Not necessarily in a bad or good way, but it was just fascinating to me that they didn't. Like, what's going on behind the scenes, right? Are they deciding to just kind of put their head down until it's all over? Was it something that he just kind of didn't think of in the moment because he's getting hit with so much information, which does happen, getting inundated with so much information? I don't know what happened.
Look, all I'm going to say is that I've been watching soccer for pretty much as long as I can remember. And never in my life have I watched a soccer game where a player got a yellow card and it was not addressed. I've never seen that. Like, it's literally part of, like, I don't want to say the rule book, but it's important that the viewer recognizes that the card happened. They show a graphic for a reason, and they say it out loud also, just so that they show that if you get booked again, this is why you're getting sent off, because it happened before. But I don't even know. You know what? I don't want to focus.
It should be noted there was 2 yellow cards on the play. There was 2 yellow cards. One to Jadon and one to the guy with the offside.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think I'm more inclined to agree with you two to be honest. But what I am saying is that I find it fascinating.
No, I find it completely fascinating. And then just really quickly on this, then you got Joe Rogan putting out this weird cryptic Instagram post. What are you doing? And I know Joe Rogan's not a racist. And congratulations,
definitely not
100
racist.
mil, super happy. But what was that post this morning about people freaking out over something thousands of miles away? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you actually talking about?
Look,
What is he talking about? And then under the comments, you got people like, yeah, Joe, people don't even know what's real anymore. Like, what are you doing? Like, whose side are you on? And not that there's sides in this, because there is no sides. It's just like, what's going on? Like,
okay.
what messages are we putting out there?
See, I want to be very careful when I critique Joe Rogan because I actually do like him for the most part. I think for the most part his podcast is very interesting in the sense that he's one of the few guys where he's willing to have a conversation with both sides, right? But I think whenever the conversation gears to or potentially has to gear towards Trump, he gets a little skittish in condemning things that Trump does. I'm not saying he's a Trump supporter per se, but what I am saying, though, is you have to understand the history of Trump and MMA. And depending on who you talk to, Trump was an instrumental part of keeping MMA afloat, or at least was a supporter of MMA during a bad time. And so when you're Joe Rogan and when you are kind of delving into politics and someone brings up Trump, it's very interesting to me how he does these mental gymnastics to avoid putting blame on Trump, which he does a lot.
I think
David is addressing. I haven't seen the Joe Rogan thing, but I'm guessing the way you put it that Joe Rogan's addressing the rioting and the looting that's going on.
Yeah.
So based on that, I think it doesn't have anything. I don't think.
The reason why I bring up Trump, sorry, I should preface.
One second though. I don't think you even have to address Trump if you're addressing the looting and the rioting. Then standing in support of people who are rioting because that officer wasn't arrested yet is just supporting the fact that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So.
And I want to be very clear on a couple of things. First of all, I don't think Joe Rogan's a racist. Like, I want to be.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that. I do think that sometimes he can be a little too centrist, in my opinion, and his because he wants to appear neutral in all situations and objective, he can sometimes allow certain ideologies to foster and fester within his core fan base. That's just the truth. And we know who listens to Joe Rogan. Me and you guys, obviously, but mostly people that don't look like us, and that's totally fine. But he has to also take responsibility for, in my opinion, if I was Joe Rogan, but I'm not. So that's why I think this way. But
okay, let me preface what I'm trying to say, though, is that when I bring up Trump, I'm saying that Trump condemned the riots and the looting, right?
I know, but
so I can definitely see a connection between him going, I don't know if I should,
Yeah. I think he does add, I don't know, a little bit too much, but to give him some credit, he does bring on an expert, usually, and an expert from both sides. So I give him some props there. My thing, though, is, just when you put that kind of messaging out, you have to, and I know Dave Chappelle is talking to him because he's close buddies with Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle's probably forgotten more about civil rights movements than all of us combined. But I know he's talking to people like that. So, why? Why are you doing that? Are you in support? Because if you are, come out and say it. If you're not in support, okay, say it. Then let's know which side you're on. Or if you're neutral, okay, then maybe now is not the time to comment on such a hot topic issue. But why would you not be commenting? Anyway, that's besides the point. I had one more point. To shoot him some bail on Trump, because I've actually watched a few Joe Rogan podcasts recently. He's actually very critical of Trump.
But remember, for a good 3 years, people were asking, what's going on?
Yeah, but I can respect remaining silent or in the middle until your opinion has been formed, until you have enough evidence to form your opinion. I can respect, and I know it's hypocritical of me to say, like, why aren't you freaking out about George Floyd? But it's just, I don't know. Like, for me, that rubbed me the wrong way when I woke up this morning and saw just like a video of, like, the riots, and I don't know what he's trying to say with it. And I see the comments, and the comments are basically like anti-riots, anti-protest, which, is fair enough and to be understandable. But, like, come on, Joe, you don't need to do that.
I don't think condemning racism should be a centrist thing. Like, it shouldn't be a left or right thing. Like,
No, it's
condemning
really
racism
not.
should be a human being thing. Like, if you're a compassionate human being who doesn't who feel who if you're a human being,
Right, Jeremy, you've
see
lived in
that
America.
unarmed black men
You know how people
being
are.
murdered. You can see that. It's not a mystery.
Mhm.
Unarmed black men are being disproportionately murdered than other races. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it shouldn't be a left or right thing.
It's
Like,
not a left or right thing.
and
It's really
and
not.
and
But
I
but
don't
all I'm
I
saying is
don't
that
I don't
sorry, go ahead.
what? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead,
No, go ahead, Jeremy.
go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mike,
I mean,
come on.
I've always like, when it started, I was like, you know, we can change, um, we can change these corrupt police departments by voting, electing officials in your local, your provincial elections. And I felt this from the beginning, but also there is something to be said about people being frustrated. Um, and it's just and I was frustrated too, the fact that it took 4 days for this guy to get arrested. Like, that's the one thing I want to focus on. That really, like, got on my nerves, and I can understand why people would take to the streets and start protesting, and then and when you're protesting and you're seeing police in riot gear, that triggers something, and I can see why a riot would break out and looting would break out. It sucks that they have to do this to their own community, but it's not like I don't understand. And for people to say that they don't understand, you're being ignorant in a way.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just want to say two things. One, you lived in America. You know how they play teams with everything. Even masks are a political issue, which is weird. Like, why would a mask, to protect yourself from a virus, be a political issue, right? But they make it one. That's what they do in America. They make things a left or right issue. So I'm not surprised. I'm shocked. I'm concerned, but I'm not surprised. And in Canada, quite frankly, we don't do it as much, but we do pick sides on certain things that you don't think we should pick sides on. And it's unfortunate, but it is. The other thing, though, and this is, I guess, segue back to sports, is people riot for everything. And so the fact that I think a lot of people are kind of getting mad at, at black sentiments about this is kind of telling, right, about yourself when, you remain silent for certain riots. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, because it's a conversation that I don't have the answers to on what's the right way to protest, what's the right way to get results. Should I be frustrated? Should I not be frustrated? I don't really have all the answers to it, but what I will say is that when you're seeing the timelines play out, my general thoughts and opinions on it are what I've said, generally.
Deep. Anyway, just since we're talking about protests, also just quickly, and then I think we should move on to like the rest of the topics. Justice for Regis Korchinski-Paquette.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with what happened, but I just think it's important to say that as well, because let's not forget that there's stuff going on in Canada as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for everyone who's familiar with that one, please, look up, research, read stuff on that, watch stuff on that. Oh, by the way, they did hold a protest for yesterday. It was mostly peaceful from what I heard. I would like to see more masks in that protest. I'm gonna be honest. No, look, the virus is still a thing, right, guys?
Yeah, man. But also, what are we protecting? You know what? I feel you, but also some things are more important.
Of course. Yeah, no, I'm not saying don't go out there. I'm not saying don't go out there.
Well, wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask. Protect others from yourself, because you don't. Yeah. The virus, it takes like what, up to 14 days if you're not careful for you to finally show symptoms. So,
what the hell?
Sorry.
Crashing.
Oh no. Okay, David, come back on the line when you're ready. Okay.
Oh no, I'm good. My video game just crashed.
Okay. Okay.
And anyway, we're back. What's up?
All right. Your video's kind of crashed too.
Has it?
Yeah. But anyway, if we can still hear you, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, now to shift to sports, now that we kind of, got a little heated, got our blood boiling a bit on that. Have you guys heard of kind of the NHL and the NBA's formats for returning to play?
No.
Okay, so this is interesting. I get to explain something.
I've heard a few things.
So, in terms of the NBA, David's back. Yay.
Hey.
Excuse me. In terms of the NBA, not the NBA, the NHL, they've actually finalized their format to play, and it's actually quite interesting. So, what the NHL is going to do is they're going to have a 24-team playoff, right? 12 on the East, 12 on the West. Now, the top 4 teams in each conference get a bye, right? They get a bye, but they will have to play each other in a round robin for seeding. So who gets the number 1 seed, who gets the number 2 seed, etc., and so forth. So they play for seedings, and then seeds 5 to 12 in each conference will play each other to a best of 5, right? So if, like, let's say you're the Leafs, for example, they are in 8th place. They'll be facing Columbus, who's in 9th place. They'll be playing best 3 out of 5. So the winner of that best 3 out of 5, let's say the Leafs win 3-0, would be facing off against one of the 4 top seeds, for example. Now, so I thought this was interesting because depending on who gets the top seed, you can see a rematch in the second round between the Leafs and the Boston Bruins, right? And everyone kind of knows their kind of storied history of the Leafs losing against the Boston Bruins, typically in a Game 7, right? Just have to put salt in the wounds there, just a little. So yeah, this was kind of interesting, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it. Returning to play with the NHL, do you guys like the format as explained? Do you guys have any concerns with it?
I like it. I like the fact that the Leafs are going to get a chance to be in the playoffs because the way the season was going, even though it kind of looked like they found some life there with the new coach and everything, it still kind of looked like the playoffs weren't a possibility this season. So the fact that they actually get to compete, except it kind of sucks for teams who are already a lock for the playoffs because it's like they got to go through like possibly being eliminated like in a best 3 out of 5 against a team that was like, not
inferior.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like as somebody of a fan of a team who was like kind of touch and go there in terms of a playoff berth, I like it. I like the fact that the NHL is like one of the first in terms of the big 4 to put something together in terms of resuming to play. But it's supposed to be in August, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in August, and they're going to have 2 hub cities. So it's going to be undisclosed locations so far. I'm hearing Disney World.
Okay.
Is it Disney
Well,
World?
I
No,
like
Disney
that.
Sport is one of them, and then the other one I think is going to be something else.
Yeah, I like that, but I also like the fact that this also means that possibly next season will start um like with the Winter Classic because it'll be like you'll have
Oh,
New
I see
Year's
what you're talking about. Yeah.
and the season will start like in New Year's and it'll just be like a good time for like the NHL to start again. So uh I mean this is gonna change sports for like a couple of years, but like I kind of like what this might mean for next season as well, to be honest.
You know what? I've always kind of said though that I kind of get the business side of it, right? You need to keep your dates as much as you can. But I've always said that the NBA and the NHL, especially the NHL, play too many games anyway. Why not start it New Year's 60-game season, go to playoffs? Like I've
No,
kind of always.
I definitely want it to go back to the way it was before, but just based on like how much sports we've missed so far, like for the next couple of years, I can live with the way it's gonna be. But I like the other way better. I just want to say that. But this way is gonna have its exciting kind of moments too.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so moving on to the NBA. So the NBA, they haven't finalized theirs yet, but they're expecting to vote on Thursday. Now, oh, my thing crashed. Okay, so I can't even see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so um, they're gonna have a vote on Thursday. They're expected to have a vote Thursday as to what they're gonna do, and they're reportedly deciding for July 31st to be kind of the start date of like a salvageable solution to return to play. They've got 4 formats that are kind of interesting, and each of them are kind of depending on what you think could help out. Now, their first format is 16 teams. So the best 16 teams in the league play each other as if it was Eastern Conference playoffs, Western Conference playoffs, right? You got 16 teams, 1 to 16 plays each other, 2 to 15, so on and so forth. Best 4 out of 7. And until they get to the NBA Finals and one team wins the league. Damian Lillard was not a fan of that, by the way, and he complained on Twitter, to which he got some backlash and some support, depending on who you are. The number 2 idea is that what they'll do is they'll have kind of a amalgamation of the first idea with a twist. They'll have 20 teams, okay? They would have kind of a
play-in tournament.
Yeah, right. So they would basically have
Would it be the bottom 2 teams play in?
Yeah, they would have like I think it was 2 or I can't remember how many teams were going to be in. I think it was 2 or 3 teams. But basically, there was going to be 4 teams. They were going to play kind of a round robin twice over, almost like the World Cup. And winner of it gets to go into the playoffs. Kevin Windhorst famously said that this is the get Zion into the playoffs idea. So, right, because the New Orleans Pelicans would technically be a bubble team. Okay, so, right. But yeah, so, yeah, that was another one. The other 2, I don't think I'm with. They have 22 teams, so they bring basically 16 teams, right? They would bring 6 teams to Orlando, right? And then you would have kind of a play-in tournament from there where each team does a round robin. 2 teams get to come in, and then you have them play the 8 seeds of each conference. I'm not really messing with that one. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of weird.
Too much
And
basketball.
then, sorry?
Too much basketball.
Yeah, it's too much basketball. And then this one is kind of weird. So they bring all 30 teams to Orlando, and then they have a 72-game regular season tournament, right? Regular season, and then hold a play-in tournament to get in. I think obviously the first two are the interesting ones, and the next two you kind of forget about. Who cares? But all are on the table. Those are the ones that you've heard sources about talk about. So, given all those ones, I know the NBA is probably our second favorite sport besides MMA. If you had to pick between the four, which one would you say we would go to?
I like the second one. I like the second one where you have maybe the four outside teams looking in on each conference, and then you have a round robin, and then two of those four teams get to be in the playoffs, and then it'd be 10 teams, and you'd have the first seed playing the 10th seed, and yeah, I kind of like that.
Dave,
Sorry, what was the first idea again?
16 teams, just 1 to 16 get in.
Let's get it over with. Let's get it over with.
I like the 16.
Fine for me.
Yeah, I like the first one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more so the reason why I want to see maybe two extra teams get in is probably because I want to see Zion. Probably, I think that's
the thing. Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, that idea where the get Zion Williamson idea. Oh my goodness! Are you talk about lack of sporting integrity? Embarrassed.
Well, to be fair, that's what.
Just say you want the money. Just say you want the people to watch Zion. That's fine.
To be fair, that's
that Pelicans team is not making the playoffs.
No, it wasn't what the NBA said. It's what Windhorst said. Windhorst said that one, which is look. You got the NBA has lost billions of dollars due to this virus. Billions. If they want to make it up by having Zion Williamson in, fine. Okay.
No. The NBA has been funneling billions of dollars for years. Sorry, I'm not rolling. Just because.
Actually, I want to change mine because I feel like the 20-team playoff screws it up. So yeah, I want to go. I would say just go.
I want to go all 16, and I want to do it. Honestly, the reason why I want to go 16 is not because of It's not because of Zion Williamson. It's because of Damian Lillard. Because let this be a lesson to him and the Portland Trailblazers, who clearly were laying an egg in the beginning of the season, and now they want to complain, right? They're 4 games back. They were 4-6 before the coronavirus hit. They are historically bad on defense, and they want to complain. Well, you know what? You did this to yourself. So I would actually like a 16-game season in spite of Damian Lillard. I'd like him to learn a lesson.
Anyone can have any issues with a 16-game season. 16-game playoff. Let's just get it over. The season was basically done. Don't get me wrong. There's still a couple of positions in both conferences that people are fighting for, but the season was basically done. We knew who, for the most part, the playoff teams were. And what are we waiting for? Why are we doing
those teams that were on the fringe we're going to get bounced out in this first round anyway.
Realistically, what are we doing this for? Is it because are the Pelicans going to win?
No,
but they want to see Zion. They want to see Zion pull a Jordan and have 40 points a game in the playoffs. That's what they want. And no, I just think that I think that if you are in the case of Portland Trailblazers, they're complaining because they want a chance to get in, but they weren't going to get in anyway. And in the case of New Orleans, they got a lot of talent and potential and a lot of pieces that people want to see, but they're just not there yet. And so that's why they're doing it.
I want to see how many Eastern teams are going to be on there, because also maybe this is a lesson that the whole, the teams aren't even. The conferences aren't even. All the best teams are in the West. Maybe that myth can die, and we can just admit that the balance goes from conference to conference every few years.
Thank you. Because I've tried to have this argument with people, and they don't listen. They don't listen. It's stupid. The West does not just like, it's not like the West drank the chalice of talent and all of a sudden have the better conference every year. It's not a thing. Stop.
But like with the regular 16 team seeding, like will it be all Eastern Conference teams play each other, or will they mix it up?
It'll be 1 to 16.
They've always wanted to do that.
So then would we be upset if the Raptors didn't get to play the Celtics for the first time? And since the Raptors have had this culture shift?
Honestly, no. But no,
about the Celtics.
It'd be fun though to see, it'd be fun at this moment in 2020 to see how the Raptors and the Celtics stack up against each other. It would be fun, but it's not. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. You know what I'm saying?
Bring me the check. I don't care about the Celtics, man.
It would be a fun matchup to see.
Right now, the Raptors would be matched up against Memphis.
Yeah, which would be amazing. We would murder them, and it's fine. Oh, I shouldn't say we, but the Raptors would.
What we should do is do a bracket, over the next couple of weeks, maybe if there's no fights on, and talk about the teams. If the 1 to 16 happens, it'll be Lakers versus Magic. Nets versus Lakers. Sorry, Bucks versus Magic. Nets versus Lakers, which is actually pretty interesting if you think about it.
I know they said they don't want KD to come back for this year,
he's not
but
he's gonna play.
Versus KD. LeBron versus KD and Kyrie. Please.
This isn't pickup, man. You
please, I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees.
Then you got, what's it called? Clippers versus. I already said Raptors versus Grizzlies. Clippers versus Mavericks, which is a great game. 76ers versus Nuggets. Jazz versus Pacers. I've messed this up. Heat versus Thunder. Damn, my math is bad. All right, there's one missing, but you get my point. I think even like this is pretty watchable as is. I think the NBA is wanting to do the 1 to 16 and get rid of the conferences anyway. This is just an excuse for them to workshop some stuff.
But it's kind of unfair to some Western Conference teams who are out of the playoffs who have a better record than the Nets and the Magic.
Not really, because this is
not really. They're just going 1 to 16 based on their record.
Yeah.
Right? So
there's technically 8 Eastern teams and 8 Western teams. There's no imbalance right now.
Yeah, there's no. The whole point is.
I felt like the who was it? I felt like the Kings had a better record than the Magic.
No. And the Trailblazers did not either, right? And this is my whole thing is that they like to. The Portland Trailblazers are way too talented to have the record they did. They have a worse record than the Orlando Magic. And they're complaining. How can you complain? Right?
Shouts out to the Brooklyn Nets, man.
Yeah. No Kyrie, no KD.
Yeah, man. It just shows teamwork makes the dream work. Shouts out to the Brooklyn Nets.
They have easily the best team spirit in the league. I don't care what anyone says.
For sure. If only their star players would join that team spirit, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, moving on. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about the NBA?
No, that was it. Let's see. Let's talk about fighting.
Sure.
So, Woodley versus Burns, I think, was one of the more interesting and thorough beatings I've ever seen that's gone the distance.
100%. Yeah. 100%. I was actually really shocked. First of all, I think Tyron Woodley was if I'm not mistaken, was a pretty comfortable favorite for that fight.
Yeah.
And I
still put some shekels on Gilbert Burns. I'll say that.
I don't even think I heard of Burns. Gilbert Arenas is fighting in the MMA. No. No. I think I heard. I think I heard of like one of his fights, but still though, like Woodley was a favorite.
Yeah, Gilbert Arenas would be great in the NBA. Great reach. He's explosive. Not too late, man.
Right? I hear his strikes are like bullets.
Yeah. Wow. Terrible. I was ashamed of my unintentional explosive pun. Yours, shame. You did that on purpose. Anyway, what were we talking about? Gilbert Burns. Yeah, man. No, it was pretty interesting because, and it's just one of those thoughts that I keep having. What happens when you sit out the sport for too long? What happens when you're not active and you're not fighting the best of the best like you once were? What happens when you're sitting waiting for these kind of tailor-made fights, and they don't come, and then you have to take another fight with this young up-and-comer? Like, man, the game is moving way too fast for people to be sitting on the laurels. And I'm not saying that that's what Tyron Woodley did, um, especially because if you think back, he beat the living brains out of Darren Till, who was like a young up-and-comer at the time. But yeah, this was just a totally different fight because I thought that Woodley's wrestling would pretty much dominate, but that's not what happened at all. In fact, Gilbert Burns was like securing takedowns and knocking Woodley down, like in the first round. Yeah, man, it was.
Yeah. So, the more I thought about it, the more I kind of thought this was more of a good performance from Burns than the bad performance from Woodley. Because at first, see, man, how do I explain this? At first, I thought that Woodley didn't come to fight tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think he did it to an extent.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Definitely did.
I think he definitely didn't, to an extent, because, I feel like there used to be an old version of him where he was always a counter striker, but he used to force actions out of you with pressure, right? He would walk you down a little bit, every once in a while kind of feint and make you worry about that overhand right.
I said that recently, actually, on the group chat. And I actually think that, and here's an idea. Oh, are you still there?
Hello? Michael.
I think he's gone. He's gone.
Please.
Jeez.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I was going to say, yeah, Gilbert. Oh, he's back, Michael? Snap. What was I
Cut
going to
out
say?
there, Michael.
Sorry?
You cut out. You cut out. Hello. Hello.
I'm here.
All right.
Raise your mic. Go ahead, David.
What was I gonna say? That first of all, yeah, Gilbert Burns beat Damian Maia before this fight, which is not a bad fight, not a bad win at all. But my thought is, it's interesting you bring up this pressure thing because I'd like to think, and I'll pitch it as a question to you. Do you think the days of pressure fighters with limited striking offense or just limited tools in their toolbox being effective is over? Because if you think about it, like a lot of the top guys are either pressure fighters with like really specific skill sets and like specialized moves or counter strikers.
You know what? I've always kind of, with Tyron Woodley, and there's a couple people who've said this, and I've watched back and I've agreed with it to an extent, is there is a book on the way to beat Tyron Woodley. Even back when he was an up-and-comer and he was in the Strike Force, the book was, you have to be versatile. You have to be a guy who can do it all to an extent, and you have to change his eye level, right? So you gotta screw up his timing, right? And so guys like Darren Till, for example, where, they're predominantly strikers, he can kind of settle into a rhythm and a timing of how they're going to fight because he doesn't have to worry about the takedown as much. He doesn't have to worry about the clinch per se. He just knows Darren Till is a left-handed guy who wants that left straight, and his defense is the lean back, right? But against guys like Rory McDonald, for example, who he lost to, where Rory McDonald is a guy who's more of a well-rounded guy, he's not going to explode out of the gym. He's not like the greatest athlete in the world, but he's a guy who can wrestle. He's a guy who's got a great jab, and he's a guy who's, pretty solid in the clinch. It screws Tyron Woodley up, right? So I don't necessarily. While I'm inclined to agree with you, I think there is an argument to be said that Tyron Woodley just doesn't do well against versatile guys, against guys who change his eye level, right? But I also, here's the thing. I think Gilbert Burns came out really, he looked thick. He looked explosive. He was strong. You know what I'm saying? He looked good, right? And at the same token, I also do think that Ben Askren said it best. Tyron Woodley is such a perfectionist that he, I can hear the argument of he's having a crisis of confidence with landing the perfect shot because he doesn't know what's the perfect shot. You get what I'm trying to say?
Not really. Expand on that, please.
Okay, so, with counterfighters, a lot of times what discourages a counterfighter is they throw a strike and it gets blocked, right? They throw a strike and it gets parried, right? Because they're behind 8 ball. While the guy's pressuring them and hitting them with 1, 2, 3, 4 shots, they're trying to land something heavy one time to get the judge's attention. But the problem is that if it doesn't land, then you're behind the 8 ball. And so it kind of frustrates you, and you keep going for this home run ball rather than kind of, hitting for singles, hitting for doubles, kind of, so to speak. And I think that I think there is something to be said that Tyron Woodley is just looking for that one home run shot, and he's not necessarily fighting to win the fight. He's fighting to win the rounds. He's kind of fighting to land and knock somebody out. I mean, it's a thought. It's a thought. It's not me.
I can see where you're coming from. I just think that he was once again way too tentative. Gilbert Burns came out ready to hit somebody, and Tyron for that first round was just waiting. And you could see he knew he had dropped the first round, obviously because he got knocked down. But in the second round, he came out like a bat out of hell, and I actually think he won that round. But eventually, Gilbert Burns. It's interesting you say diverse because I actually think that Tyron Woodley is probably a more well-rounded fighter than Gilbert Burns, really. Because if you think about it, he's a BJJ black belt, if I'm not mistaken. He's an NCAA Division I wrestler, and his striking, which is going to be my main point, was his striking was really interesting because if you look at it, it was very. He'd spent training camp in Muay Thai. In Thailand before this. So he had a very Muay Thai stance. Not even kickboxing. More, he was stood straight up and was bouncing on his toes, yes, but not as much as you would think.
He's got that new age hybrid style where they like to kind of move a little, but not as. It's still Muay Thai, for example.
It looks super fluid. It looks super nice. I'm wondering whether he would be a better Muay Thai fighter than an MMA fighter because his stand up form wise it was really pretty, but unfortunately
and even grappling too. You know what? He survived. Gilbert Burns is a world champion BJJ competitor. Right.
Oh yeah, no, his grappling was pretty good, yeah.
And for Tyron Woodley to survive in the mount.
Do you remember that that guillotine he had?
Yeah.
That was deep. I mean, there was only 15 seconds when he had it locked in, but it was deep.
I think it was a Darce. Yeah, he got the Darce and then he got the half guard and turned to the side there when he wrapped up the legs. It was either a Darce or an Anaconda. I can't remember, but. The point is that, Gilbert had him in a couple spots that looked kind of bleak, and Tyron did a good job surviving, and not just surviving, but, doing technical things. So, I don't know what it is. I really don't. I just think that Tyron Woodley doesn't.
I think it has to do with momentum, taking a year off versus coming into a fight ready to go. After racking up solid wins, I think it's momentum. Me too. I was surprised that Tyron Woodley looked kind of pedestrian on the ground. I think it speaks to the momentum of how the fighters came in, and also the fashion in which you won the fights previous to the fight that you're coming into.
Yeah, I just think that, yeah, I don't know. This is a crossroads for Woodley because I don't see him fighting any of the guys. Like, I don't want to see him fighting like some guy that like some of the lower ranked guys because I feel like he's too good of a fighter. But at the
I mean,
same
keep in
time,
mind he is also 38. He's
yeah,
lost 2 straight horribly. You
I
know,
mean, yeah, but 2 straight is not the end of the world. Fighters can come
it's
back
not.
from 2 straight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not. It's not. I mean, Wonder Boy lost 2 straight, right?
exactly.
You know, so
I mean, what's his
um,
name? Gilbert Burns, who just beat Damian Maya. Before this, Damian Maya was on like 2 straight. Before then,
yeah.
he's like 40, right? So
Yeah, no, I definitely. I look. I think Tyron Woodley is an adjustment change away from being a world champion. You know, but
not far. I think
it's
I think
it's just.
Maroon
Sorry,
Usman
go ahead.
is a bad matchup for him. If I'm just gonna keep it a buck, and I think anybody who's like a dynamic striker is a bad matchup for him,
Well, I think if you're he proved
and
that.
and a good wrestler, and a good wrestler.
I think that he proved that he can strike with the strikers and he can grapple with the grapplers. He's done it, right? I've seen it. It's just whenever you get guys who can do it all and do it all on fight night,
Fair.
he tends to get a little skittish on his timing, and I can hear that being just kind of the kryptonite. When you look at Tyron Woodley's 5 losses, right? Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, obviously, but again, Roy McDonald, he's one of those guys. Jake Shields, more of a grappler, and this is Tyron Woodley in his early days, but he's a guy that again changes the eye level on guys, right? Nate Marquardt, beat him up against the fence, backed him up, changed his eye level, hit him with some elbows, right? So I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's just kind of a stylistic issue for Tyron Woodley or if it's he needs to go see a sports psychologist because he's, not
Try
figuring it
not
out.
to get into the mentality, psychology stuff, because at the end of the day, we don't know.
Yeah, no, again, it's just a thought.
What I would say though is that it's gonna be hard. He's gonna be fine. He's definitely an intelligent dude. His music sucks. Sorry, Tyron, but your music is
In and out of love.
it is not good.
In and out of love.
And he could definitely be like a commentator. He has a TMZ show. He could take our jobs. He is way more popular. His podcast would be 10 times as popular than this podcast. But what I did like is that when he lost, he did an Instagram video where he basically just owned up to it and said, yeah, I wasn't good enough, which I kind of appreciated because I don't know if you saw it before. I think it was like on Friday or Thursday, they released his Mike Tyson interview.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
Man.
Why? What happened? What did he say? I wanted to watch it, but I just think
I'm gonna stop watching those things, man.
Man, you hate those Mike Tyson hot boxes.
Yeah. No, man. And I like Mike Tyson and I like marijuana, but like, man, no.
Did you see what Deontay Wilder said about Mike Tyson and how?
What did he say?
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was something along the lines of like he didn't really fight champions or something like that. You guys haven't seen it?
Well, that's an argument I've heard about Mike Tyson for a long time. That like he came at a time when the division was as weakest or something like that. I've heard that argument before. I
can't remember what exactly he said, so I don't want to misquote him. But I'm pretty sure it was something along the lines of like Mike Tyson didn't fight like
the competition wasn't stiff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard the argument before. People have said it before, so it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Deontay Wilder to say it. Look, it is what it is on that one. Honestly, it is what it is. Mike Tyson, did his thing.
Mike Tyson didn't run from anybody though, so
yeah, like what do you want from the man to go back and make sure other guys are good enough so he can?
Yeah, like you want Muhammad Ali to
Yeah, like
it's one of those weird arguments,
silly, man.
It's a silly argument, but
yeah,
that's what it is. But yeah, like Okay, back on Tyron Woodley though. We spent like 10 minutes talking about Tyron Woodley, but again, Gilbert Burns looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. He's calling out Kamaru Usman. I think that's a bad matchup.
I would really love to see him versus Colby Covington because
no,
I would really love to see it.
I would really
love to see it because just from a marketing perspective, Gilbert Burns is the new savior of Brazil, and Colby Covington, what was his claim to fame?
Yeah, that was my other take, man. What is in the water in Brazil, man? Country of killers. Just like a killer factory.
I'll tell you what's in the water. I'll tell you what's in the water.
Hey, let's save the lawsuits, please. Let's save the lawsuits.
I'll tell you what's in the water. No, we'll talk. We'll talk off here.
But no, yeah, he killed it. He was really good.
Yeah, no. I really liked his kicking game that night. Like, a lot of people talked about that knockdown early. Mm-hmm. But his kicking game was really solid. He hit Tyron with like a calf kick in the third round, and you could tell it buckled Tyron a lot. And he liked to go to this. He would throw either a rear or a lead roundhouse kick, and if it didn't land, side kick came up immediately. And it's a combo that a lot of people are starting to go to now. I used to do it in Taekwondo a lot. So I'm very shocked and surprised that a lot of these kind of guys are doing it nowadays. So I'm very I like this kicking game. I thought it was very, very creative. It technically it needs a little, but then again, who?
Oh, we lost him again.
He looked good.
All right.
Am I back?
Say the last 10 seconds of what you just said. We lost you, just in case.
No, I was saying that I was just talking about how his kicking game was creative.
Yeah. Are there any other fights you want to talk about?
Well, a couple points. One, Mackenzie Dern. She gets the first leg submission in female MMA history in the UFC. Sorry, in female UFC history. Look, as much as I hate on Mackenzie Dern for, her weight cut issues and, just being disingenuous in general, she came in to the Apex, she made weight, and looked good. Right?
Yeah, she looked good. But then again, she was fighting probably the smallest fighter in the UFC, in Hannah Cifers, who must be like 4'11" or something. So, right. I mean,
let's see the official stats on Hannah Cifers.
She's got to be like 5'2", even smaller. Like, she's tiny.
Yeah, but you know what the thing about Mackenzie Dern, and this is one of the reasons why she didn't make weight, is that she's a big 115. She's a big 115.
That is
okay. But I could, but yeah, Hannah Cifers. The thing about Hannah Cifers is a lot of people call her one of the purest boxers in the female.
What?
Yeah,
what?
A lot of people. I never got that. I never got that.
I don't want to besmirch fighters on this podcast, but the purest boxer?
The purest boxer in the female.
Aldana. You got what's the other Russian lady's name? Kvyatska? Oh man, what's her name? It's escaping me right now. But
Irina Aldana is a like a killer, but yeah, no, people have said that like she's got some crisp boxing, and you can see she's a good striker. I'm not saying she's bad, but like I've never gotten that.
Striking is definitely her strong point, but like she's just so small. That I just
official stats on her is 5'1", 115. Right?
I don't believe 5'1". I'm sorry.
5'1" is generous.
Looks tiny. I remember when she fought Angela Hill, who is tiny as well. Like she looked way shorter than Angela Hill, way shorter.
But in fairness,
like 5'2".
Yeah. But in fairness, again, Mackenzie Dern's a big 115. Like she's thick. I'm not saying that to be. But she's
Yana Kunitskaya is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, she's not. But again, she's not in the strawweight division, right?
No, but in terms of pure boxing, though, is what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is that they call her the best pure boxer in the strawweight division.
Okay, man.
which is a stretch. It's a stretch, but like,
man. Shout out Hannah Cyphers, man, but come on, man.
yeah.
Yo, put her
I've heard that before, and I was kind of shocked, right? I was
atom weight division.
Man, but yeah, no. Again, she got it's the first leg submission in female UFC history. I don't know what MMA history, but in female UFC history, so we'll take it. You know, it is what it is on that one, and yeah. Moving on.
Moving on. But shouts out them though. And female MMA is cool. Shouts out MMA. I'm sorry, female mixed martial artists.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. One fight that I wanted to talk about was the I don't even know this guy's name. Gutierrez versus Morales fight. It was pretty much the first fight on the card. Yeah. Nasty leg kicks, TKO. I think it was something like only the 9th time there's ever been a leg kick.
11th.
Oh, my bad. Bad stats. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. The first round, this guy comes in landing some of the meanest leg kicks I've ever seen in my life. And literally, I've also never seen this. The guy, Morales, first of all, he's coming off an ACL injury that he got like less than like 8 months ago or something like that. And literally in the first round, his leg was ballooned. Like, it was so swollen. Like, I've not seen a leg like that in mixed martial arts in a long time. So that was gruesome. Shout out to Gutierrez. He won that pretty well. Do you have any other fights you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. Shout out Brock Weaver.
Shout out to Brock Weaver.
Yeah, he lost, but like we're in Canada. I'm down with the Native Americans and indigenous people fighting the good fight. In this case, he was literally fighting. Pardon?
Is he Canadian?
No, he is. He lives on like a Native American reserve.
He's not Canadian.
Yeah, no, but he's like deep into like the. I don't want to say Native. I hate saying Native American, but that's the proper term.
The indigenous community.
Indigenous in Canada and First Nations in Canada.
Oh,
American. So I'm gonna say.
Sorry. I apologize.
Although I hate that term. Yeah, let's use indigenous. The indigenous populations of America, and yeah, he's had 2 UFC fights so far. Kind of being overmatched, unfortunately. I didn't know who this Roberts guy was. I'm going to be honest. I've never heard of him.
I've kind of kept my eye on him a little bit. Now, the thing about Roosevelt Roberts is he does tend to get backed up a lot. And although his takedown defense is good in these lower matchups, like a Brock Weaver, for example, or he beat a Russian gentleman, a Russian cat, a couple months ago, in 2019.
We probably covered it.
Yeah, we probably talked about, but he lost to Vince Purcell, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, like I think
this guy,
how crispy.
You got to get.
Sorry, what happened?
Say it again.
Ah, I cut out again?
Yeah.
Nah.
It's not important.
Okay, with Roosevelt Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just really impressed with him. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. I just think that, he's got to clean up some things, obviously, but I just really like that's between him and Dern. Dern, because she made me eat some crow pie. Not necessarily because she won, but just because you guys know how much I dog on Mackenzie Dern, right? You guys know. I'm probably the biggest Mackenzie Dern hater. Sorry?
I said unfairly, might I add, but Okay. Another fight that I wanted to make sure that I got some props to was the Jamal Hill fight. That guy looks pretty good. I watched a couple of his fights now, and I think they've both been first round TKOs, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he looks pretty pretty good. He reminds me, and this might be a terrible comp. He reminds me of the Nigerian dude, not Yusuf, the other guy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. What's it called? Was he the? No. I can't remember. I can't remember his name. But he was in light heavyweight. He was in.
Yeah, exactly. He's a light heavyweight. Yeah, not Sadiq Yusuf, the other guy.
Yeah.
Shout out that guy, Nigeria.
Olajide Wale or something like that. Some crazy.
Something like that. But no, he has a really upright style, and he leaves his chin way, way up there.
Yeah.
Which is always fun to see at the highest level, but he's knocking dudes out, so.
Man. You know what the thing is, though? What really stood out to me in this fight is how big the 205ers are getting.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
There was a while I considered myself a 205. No.
Man.
No.
I remember, so for people who don't know, I'm an undersized middleweight at the height I'm at. I'm a very undersized middleweight, like midget-like. You know, and the reason why is just because I have a big build. Like I'm pretty muscular. There's just nothing I can do about it.
Is that what they call it?
Yes.
Discipline? That's what they call it now?
Yeah, lack of discipline. No,
okay.
But a lot of the reason why is because, you know, what constitutes as high as being a small middleweight, like even 3 years ago, and what's a small middleweight now is completely different. So imagine like heavyweight, where you're really seeing the size difference nowadays. Just holy crap.
I remember being like 17 around that age, so dating myself, that's almost 10 years ago. Right before I moved to Canada, and I was watching a lot of UFC at the time, and they were like, Rampage Jackson, 6 foot, 205. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about what I weigh. No, these guys are monsters. Even like, what's his name? That was on the podcast last week.
Frank.
Professor Frank. Yeah, Professor Frank. Oh my goodness.
Ozzy Diaz.
Ozzy, yeah, that he was tutoring.
And fights in middleweight.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Adesanya is what, 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah.
Like, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like,
guys are getting big. Like even the featherweight division. Ortega versus Holloway. Are you kidding me? Those guys looked like they were in welterweight. Maybe and that's a stretch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ortega needs to fight again. That's another thing, but that's another story for another time.
He might be fighting TKZ.
Oh, is he?
Finally.
Yeah. But again, these guys are getting big, and this is where John Jones will really be tested of if he's going to be the greatest of all time without the drugs, because there are some killers. There are some killers coming, right? And I'm not saying necessarily Jamal Hill is going to be the guy, but you got guys who are legitimate in. I mean, you don't know how Thiago Santos is going to recover from that massive knee injury, but he was a killer. Mm-hmm. Dominic Reyes is still there, right? Jan Blachowicz has figured something out, right? Johnny Walker, if he can get himself back in there, that's his height and length can be a problem.
That's enough. That's enough, man.
No, but
you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of like when the Raptors got to marry Carol, and they're like, oh man, if we get matched up with LeBron, I really think DeMario Carroll's defense and his length, his height.
That's not the same thing. Who said that? For the record, for everyone who said that really deserves to be shamed.
It was Ujiri who said that. Watch your tongue.
No.
Shout out to
I believe in the Messiah, but no, that was a bad thing. He was the fun fact about DeMario Carroll. He was the only Hawk on that starting five that is the year before we got him who didn't make the All-Star team. Yeah, so what does that say? All right.
But he was like the glue guy. No, I get it. But I just feel like that narrative of, if he can fulfill his potential with his length and at the end of the day, what's in between here counts as well. And I feel like Walker hasn't shown that yet, unfortunately.
But Nikhil Krylov is there. Like there are some guys, and they're big, and
Beat John Jones.
not that would beat, but can give him trouble, right? That can realistically give him some issues, and are long. Like that's the thing. It's not just like skill wise. They're there. They're long. They're tall. Some of them are explosive, like a Thiago Santos. You know, I really thought if Anthony Smith beat Glover Teixeira, he can make a legitimate case that one more fight away, and but again, there are some guys there that I think can give
Really
John.
see if Anthony Smith beat Glover Teixeira?
If he did.
Oh wait. If he did, yeah.
No.
Now, not so much. Not so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. If he did, then I could definitely see an argument of Anthony Smith is in around the title picture, because you have to keep in mind the fight before he just beat Alexander Gustafsson.
Yeah,
right?
and he was smoking dudes on
So-
the way. Like he was smoking everyone.
But I guess the roundable point I'm trying to make though is 205 is no
Getting bigger.
longer 205 is no longer John Jones DC and everybody else. There are some guys, and John Jones needs to be at Jackson Wink training with the high level trainers, because it seems like Wink has a problem with that. Jackson Wink has a problem with that. But again, those are opinions of me.
Yeah, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Just but again, when everyone's leaving because they're not feeling like they're getting attention, I don't know. What do you want me to tell you?
Hilarious.
But yeah, again, I back on Jamal Hill. Like he's one of those kids where physically he has all the tools. Long reach, right? Very long reach, very tall, muscular kid. Kid looks good physically, right? And he's knocking out really, really good prospects. So again, I'm interested to see what he can do.
All right. Okay, so the last fight that I wanted to give, sorry for no selling. That was a terrible no sell. But
No, hey, it's fine.
No, I agree with you. That's why I brought it up. Jamal Hill, Black Power, Black Excellence. Not that he's black. Even if it was white, his skills look really nice. But the fact that he's black makes it all the more sweeter.
Although I really do think he should tuck his chin in a little bit.
Tuck that chin in, buddy. Like, are you kidding me?
But you know what? Tony Ferguson wrote it out to 2020, man. Like there are guys who can do it. There are guys who can.
Ferguson's different. Like he would move his head just when you're about to hit him. So like you're not hitting him like on the chin. You're kind of like.
But you know what the thing is?
Also, Tony Ferguson can take unbelievable punishment.
Yeah, we haven't even seen how this guy can take a hit yet.
But like, here's the crazy thing too, is that there's a lot of guys who do a lot of things that would make your striking coach, I guess, if in a Muay Thai gym, really cringe.
Chin, man. Come on.
Yeah, like Dominic Reyes, for example, like he likes to like move his hands before he moves his feet.
Yeah, he does do that.
That makes me like it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. But it works. It works for him,
Whatever
and it's
works,
crazy.
man. Whatever works.
Yeah, you got. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. The last fight I wanted to talk about really, really quickly because it's not really too much to say about this, but the Billy Q versus Carlisle fight, the Alpha Ginger. Can we just dead the gimmicks? Like I love gimmicks, but like, come on, man.
Billy Q's my boy, actually. I talked to him once on Twitter. Did I ever tell you about? He's a good guy. Good guy.
Shouts out Billy Q, man. I liked when like the dude was walking away and hit him. He ran after him and hit him. That was pretty cool. Shouts out Billy Q.
Yeah, what was Mike Carlisle's thinking?
But you know the funny part is like that dude looks like he's got so much power for some reason. Like it almost defies logic.
They actually had to do a 5-pound allowance because Spike said it wasn't enough time for him to make weight. So, yeah, they actually. So he came in at I think 150.
Oh.
Yeah.
That kind of it. But still, Billy won.
Yeah. No, like good. Shouts out to Billy Q. Like again, I'm really impressed with Billy Q's ability to fight off his back. And that was the whole thing for me is that. Billy Q is one of those guys, when Holloway was on top, I was like, we don't really know what Holloway can do on the ground, against like because that's where I thought Ortega was going to have a lot of success, right? It's like if Ortega can just get him down there, you don't know what's going to happen. But
did we review the Ortega fight? Like,
we didn't get a chance to. We didn't have a podcast back then, but that was a slaughter. That was a slaughter.
Sure, that might have been one of the most one-sided title fights I've ever watched in my life.
No, because Amanda Nunes versus Ronda Rousey happened, my friend. But
yeah, but it's different when it's like a quick one.
Yeah, it looked like a nice video.
But that was like 5 rounds of domination.
Yeah, it looked like a nicest video. It was pretty bad.
It was really bad.
Yeah. But you know what? But again, Billy Q is just one of those guys where I think he has an interesting style. That if he can just kind of clean up a couple things here and there, I don't see why not with him, right? Why not face a ranked opponent? Why not? So. And that's not just a bias of me like actually liking the cut of the guy's jib. Like I call it like I see it, and
wow.
I think
okay, we have to clip that. You just said the cut of the guy's jib. Okay, last one for me is
it's an expression.
I know it's an expression from like the 1930s. We got Caitlin Chukagian who got revenge on Antonina Shevchenko.
Oh my word. Right, what do you do
in MMA? We'll just leave it there. Just only in MMA.
What do you do when you can't beat somebody for the title? You beat up their sister.
And it just goes to show that greatness is not genetic. Anyway.
Man, you could tell Caitlin was enjoying that. She was definitely enjoying it. Man, no, you can see in some like some camera angles. She was getting ear to ear about that. It was crazy.
That's wild.
She was like, oh yeah.
Shevchenko, eh? All right.
But you know what was interesting to me about that fight, like just kind of completely off MMA note, Caitlin wants to have a baby after she retires, so she's like probably 1 or 2 years in and she's done.
Caitlin?
Yeah, Caitlin she mentioned, she kind of alluded to it post fight, but she mentioned she got deeper into it, in her post fight interview, kind of in the press conference, that she's having baby fever or something, and then a lot of times, sorry.
Go on.
And a lot of times you kind of forget that these people, like these fighters, I don't know what it is with MMA fighters, but a lot of times people forget that they're, human, and they have human emotions and human motivations.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part about the Gilbert Burns win, is because from all accounts, he's like a family guy and just like a good dude. And you can see how pumped he was when he won. Like, he knew he won. And that was pretty, like, Tyron Woodley, honestly, is one of my favorite fighters, but I was happy for Gilbert Burns. Why am I always happy for the guy who beats Tyron Woodley? What's going on with me, man?
Because one of them was Nigerian and one of them is a good guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I liked. But there are also lots and lots of female fighters and male fighters. There are mostly female fighters with children. What's her name? Amanda Nunes' girlfriend is about to have a child, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, she's a real good fighter too.
Yeah. Can't remember.
Why am I drawing a blank on her name? I really like her kicking game.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Jesus. Anyway, yeah. No, those are all the fights I want to shout out.
Yeah, those are all. We did pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Like,
damn near.
Yeah.
Damn near all of them. But there's so many interesting stories, and that's the trash part about MMA is that the stories always get lost. They get bottled down into these like 2 30-second like clips.
But see, this is my thing is that Pride used to do a great job of promoting stories, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be a guy crap talking on a mic for 30 minutes at a time. It can sometimes just be, here's a story. Here's a motivation. Go after it. Like, I think Sakuraba maybe said 5 words. And like it was in between smoke breaks. But they promoted the crap out of him. Anyway.
Okay, what do we got left? Because we're running kind of long on this.
Yeah. We got an Ask Question segment.
Nice.
So,
do you have any questions?
What question? This is kind of interesting. I guess I can put it to football too. Is it okay not to is it okay not to like a person from your gym / a teammate of yours on a training team, training camp or whatever?
I guess it's okay. It's a free country. You're allowed to do whatever you want. I don't know if it's then your right to start making it a toxic environment. I think that's where your rights stop. But within your mind, you're allowed to express whatever you want and feel however you want. But when it comes to the collective, then you have to bury your ego and do what's best for everybody else. I think of like Colby Covington, for example. Like what is going on there?
Oh, he left. He left ATT.
He's gone already, exactly.
Yeah.
But you could tell like that's a case where he had so much beef that he felt like he wasn't even comfortable there, and it was a toxic environment. And I remember his gym put like a code of conduct and all that stuff. Like, yeah, that's just when it starts going too far. So before it gets there, I would say in your mind to your personal friends, do whatever you want, talk as much crap as you want. But when it comes to either work or your team or the gym, then I would keep your thoughts to yourself and keep it cordial.
Jeremy, when you were on the football field, did you ever have a problem with one of your teammates or whatever?
I mean, I'm sure I did, but it never got to a point where it affected what we did on the field. But I will say it's easier in MMA not to like someone from your gym and still be successful than it is in a sport like football or other team sports, only because you don't have to like your teammates and still succeed, but I think your team has a better chance of succeeding if these guys are guys that you can like spend time outside of the field with or anything like that, or develop some kind of team camaraderie. I think
Yeah.
the reason why the Raptors are so good and they're the number one team in terms of buy-in, in terms of my like opinion, they're the number one team in terms of buy-in because they genuinely like each other.
And
And
Nick
like,
Nurse is the best coach in the world. But
yeah, yeah. And like
At
when Nick
least one of them. At least one of them. I thought he was going to win Coach of the Year this year, but anyway,
yes.
go ahead.
like when Nick Nurse decides to switch up the defense entirely, and one
But
guy
when
isn't
he
really
went to the
down with
press
that.
against the Mavericks,
Yeah,
guys,
like when one guy isn't really down with that,
uh,
if if these guys didn't have a good team camaraderie, like that wouldn't really work. But I feel like in team sports, the more you like each other, it definitely helps. So like in team sports at least, it it gives you an advantage to like one another.
Sure. What I will say to counter that, though, before you jump on, Michael, and we wrap this up soon, is Professor Frank, some of the interviews that I did, everybody says, yeah, MMA might be an individual sport in terms of there's one or two guys in the ring, but it's also a team sport because you got sparring partners, you got your coaches, you got your pad holders, like you got people who you go jogging with, people who you're cutting weight with people sometimes. Like it's a team effort. So in a way, you kind of do have to have that camaraderie within your gym. If not, you're gonna have just as tough a time, and you might as well do what Kobe did: go somewhere else, start your own gym, get people who are actually gonna like you.
yeah. I guess I'll make this quick. I'll leave on this note. I've played basketball, I've played football, I've done MMA, right? In terms of high-ish levels. I competed a couple taekwondo tournaments as well. Out of all the sports, the one sport where I felt team camaraderie the most was MMA, which was weird. So in theory and principle, I do agree with Jeremy that it is easier to kind of be successful if you don't like somebody as part of your team in MMA than it is in, let's say, a basketball. You feel the community more so in MMA, and I don't know.
The football team had divas.
Yeah, we had some divas. We had some divas, myself included. But I guess I don't know. Like I don't know if it's okay necessarily. Okay, I think it's okay to dislike somebody based on certain things, but I don't think it's okay to strain a relationship between the gym because of it. And there are lots of reasons that we will talk about off air if you like as to how that can happen. Some absurd, like really absurd, but it happens. And when it does happen in MMA, it tends to lead to somebody leaving the gym entirely, right? And I think that's kind of the issue. So, and the problem is they're not necessarily the best of professionals about it. So I would say that while it's okay to dislike somebody, don't allow it to strain the relationship with the group. Just don't drill with them. There are ways to do it, but I guess, it's a loaded question, and time's up. So,
yeah, time is up. Okay, any last things before we get into our social media plug?
So Felicia Spencer and Amanda Nunes are going to be fighting this Saturday. Go Canadians. Go for the Canadian Felicia Spencer. I'm honest to goodness, as much dog doo-doo as I've talked about Felicia Spencer's chances, I legitimately want her to win.
For sure, me too. And you know what? I might actually put some money down.
Yeah, I'll put some shekels down on Felicia.
Yes, some shekels. I like the way you say that. Yeah, I might put some shekels down because have you seen the marketing for this? Like the promo for this fight?
Oh, they're making her look like a world champion. I love it.
I disagree. They are besmirching her name. Like besmirching.
Are we talking about Amanda Nunes or?
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about Felicia Spencer.
Oh no, they're besmirching her name for sure.
She might as well not be in the promo. Like I'm not even sure I remember her being in the promo. Like maybe like for like 2 seconds. Like it's all Amanda Nunes. Yeah, I really.
Yeah, no, they're calling her the greatest of all time. It's crazy. It's
Is that really besmirching Felicia's name?
No, but there's 2 fighters. Like it's
no,
not.
but here's the thing: is that it's so overwhelmingly like I saw this. I don't know if it's still the case, but I saw the betting lines, and Felicia's like something around the lines of plus 600, like some insane number, right, of an underdog. Like they're giving her no shot, and it's a sad thing, but at the same time, if you ask around, it's a fair, yeah.
But at the same time, like, come on, man, like. Give her some promo time. Some time in the promo. It's her promo. Like, come on.
All right. Other than that, Bundesliga is still.
That's a sneaky card. I'm looking at some of the.
Yeah. No, it's
versus Garbrandt, Sterling versus Sandhagen, Magny. You got Sean O'Malley, Chase Hooper, Ian Heinisch, who's always good. Yeah.
It's a good card. It's a good card. They're really shelling out. It's a good card. I like the card. Other than that, Bundesliga is going on, so watch that. And
Premier League is back in a month.
Sorry?
The Premier League is back in a month.
Yeah, Premier League's back in a month. And what else? Oh, yeah. NBA votes for their season Thursday, apparently. So Thursday, really be on the lookout for that. Other than that, yeah. Okay, anyone take it away with the socials before we leave.
The socials?
Yeah.
Is that the thing that Stefano does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Follow us.
So follow the Leg Kick on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Wherever you get your podcasts, follow us, watch us, share us, and if you don't, I will kill you.
Okay.
Whoa.
I won't even be creative about it. I'll just take you in broad daylight, hit you in the back of the head with a baseball bat, and pay the consequences.
What?
Okay. Take it. You sign us off.
I like it.
Man, okay.
Take the facts.
All right. In a world where we can tell people we're going to kill each other without lawsuits, I guess, I'm your host, Michael. And remember that even though the virus is a thing and the protests are a thing, you still have some positivity, for the most part, in this Leg Kick podcast.
So make sure you get yourself a ting.
Sorry?
I said, so make sure you have yourself a ting.
Yeah, unlike Jeremy, that loser.
Slide into the DMs. Slide into Jeremy's DMs.
All right. Everybody, take it easy.